honestly believe so.
So we're here in Sherman, Texas.
Yeah, great.
You have this groundbreaking for a factory.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to know. What is the difference between the AI people are dealing with now versus the AI that's coming in the future that you're seeing that this factory is going to make possible?
It'll be smarter, safer, better guardrail. It'll be grounded on more truth. It'll be able to do more things, be more helpful.
When you say grounded in more truth,
Yeah.
what's that mean?
Less guessing and more research. Less guessing and more research. Just as even this year's AI has done a much better job being grounded in truth, because it can even use the internet, do some search. It brings back some information, 2 or 3 different versions of the information. It might evaluate the information based on based on an evaluator to see which one is more likely to be truthful. Yeah.
And do you see AI as really driving the manufacturing revival in the U.S.?
No question about it. We're reinventing the computer for the first time in 63 years. This is just an extraordinary thing. Since the invention of the IBM System 360 in 1964, we're now reinventing the computer. You no longer have to code and no longer records information in advance, pre-recording information. It's able to now solve problems in real time. And so the way that the computer has to be built is radically different. We've now built about 60 years worth of the computer infrastructure, the internet, and all the computers that we know. We're now in the process of reinventing all of that, which is the reason why, over the course of the next 10 years, we're going to be building tens of trillions of dollars of new computers to replace the old computers that we built over the last 60 years.
And that's the root of the CapEx.
That's the root of the CapEx. As a result, we can use incredible new investment to reindustrialize the United States, which is the reason why we're here. We're building new chip plants. This is a new chip plant that produces lasers that allows us to take a chip that processes electricity, convert it to optics or light, send the light down optics, convert it back to electricity for another chip. So now we can connect chips that are literally separated by hundreds, thousands of feet, and let those two chips be connected and work together. Incredible.
All right. Energy, chips, infrastructure, models, applications.
Yeah, the 5-layer cake.
5 layers of AI.
Yeah.
Where is the U.S. strong, and where is it
vulnerable?
vulnerable?
Excellent. I really appreciate that. First of all, people think that AI is this model, and it is. That's one of the very important parts of the AI. Just as the computer industry is not just Excel or Word, just the application. It consists of all of the infrastructure that supports it. The 5-layer cake that you mentioned. United States is woefully behind in energy production, which is one of the great things that President Trump has really advocated to regrow, I guess, to generate the energy industry and to be a pro-energy growth industry again. Because without energy, that entire infrastructure on top cannot be created and produced. And so the first thing is to make sure that we are a pro-energy growth country again. For chips, infrastructure, and AI models, we are absolutely world-class. And then the layer above, the applications. This is applications used for radiology, for healthcare, applications for manufacturing, robotic systems, all of the different applications for the various industries. The top layer, the bottom layer and the top layer, I would argue that we are probably not world-class. Now, the reason for that is because on the lowest layer, we've just suffocated energy production for too long. At the highest level, we have to be careful because we're increasingly describing AI in a way that causes communities and population to be somewhat concerned about it. I think that one, the technology is very powerful, so we have to build it with safety and security, and we have to build it with responsibility. We have to make sure that the regulations support it. But after that, once we do that, we need to make sure that the United States takes advantage of this new industrial revolution, just as we took advantage of the last industrial revolution. As you know, 300 years ago, the production of energy was invented in Europe, but somehow the United States took advantage of it. We industrialized it. We applied it. Companies like GE and all the appliances, and we celebrated the industrialization of our economy. With the internet, we did the same thing. With the computers, we did the same thing. We have to be very careful that artificial intelligence, this new next generation of technology revolution, that we're also enthusiastic about adopting it and make sure that we don't get left behind.
Do you think the issue with AI
Yep.
is the technology itself that concerns people, or the absence of social structures to adapt to something happening so fast?
It's a combination of all that. When automobiles came, we needed to create new social norms. Back in the old days, you probably remember that cars...
I'm not that old.
Okay, well, back in the old days, people said that cars kill children. What is it about cars that would hunt down a child to kill them? Well, the reason for that was because in the older, when kids were growing up, they used to play in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, I used to play in the streets. When cars came along, you obviously can't play in the streets. We now no longer have kids playing in the streets. We don't tell kids not to go play in the streets. And we have sidewalks, we have crosswalks, we have, jaywalking is discouraged. And so all of that combination of social norms, regulations, safer cars, seat belts, and all the technology that comes along with it. It's all of it at the same time. So I think you have to deal with regulation, technology, you have to deal with social norms.
What is the social norm that you think would make people feel the most comfortable?
Well, the first thing is that I would advocate that everybody use AI. Just go engage it. There's the free tier of AI. AI is the greatest technology, has closed the technology divide more so than any technology in history. And the reason for that is because it's accessible, it's on the internet, and it's also free to use. There's a free tier, and it's easy to use. Unlike a microwave, you have to read the manual. Unlike a computer, you have to go to school and learn how to program it. With AI, if you don't know how to use AI, just walk up to AI and say, I don't know how to use AI, how do I use AI? And the AI is going to say, what would you like to do? And it could be that you would like to write a program, create a website for your shop. Maybe you'd like to create a small program to help you manage your books. Maybe you would like to do some research to learn something about a new topic, help you with a new school project that you're having a hard time with. So whatever it happens to be, if you have a hard time using AI, just go up and ask it. If you're a carpenter, you want to become a designer, help somebody be a creator of kitchens before you go and help somebody build it. AI could help you generate a lot of interesting designs. And so I think it could elevate your capability. What I would advocate for everybody to do is just go try it before you judge.
So in the past few days, we've seen some major challenges to AI, right? We saw the government put export controls on Anthropic. What do you make of that? Are export controls a good tool to use to have models get pulled back?
Well, the U.S. government has to be concerned about national security, and national security is a foremost top issue. And export control is a powerful tool that if used precisely and specifically, could be quite effective. Beyond that, you just got to be careful not to over-exercise export control so that it doesn't create unintended consequences to a lot of other things that we don't intend it to do. And so, aside from that, I'm not in their conversation, but you can understand that the United States is quite concerned about national security.
And do you see national security as a major concern?
National security should always be the top concern of all technologies. But having said that, you have to be very specific about the risk that you're concerned about before setting up policies for export controls.
And what about this idea that's been floated about governments owning stake in AI companies, that they would own shares or something to that extent? Do you think that government ownership of the AI modeling companies is a good idea for the technology?
I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to achieve. I haven't had a dialogue with them about that. But just remember that these are American companies. Their success benefits the stock price, of which many Americans are investors in. It generates taxes, of which helps many Americans. It creates a lot of jobs. And the AI companies is just one of the 5 layers. And so if they're successful, imagine all of the 5 layers and the jobs that are created across the board. And so I think that America has a stake in all American companies. when we succeed, we create a whole bunch of jobs, we generate a whole bunch of tax revenues. When we export around the world, we obviously bring back an enormous amount of revenues, create a lot of jobs locally, and so on and so forth. And so I think America has a stake, Americans have a stake in American companies already naturally in a whole lot of different ways. I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to achieve beyond that.
So President Trump likes you, right? Let's just cut to the chase. He's called you amazing, smart, he's called you a friend. But he's also said, before he first met you, he was thinking that Nvidia was so dominant that he should break you up. I'm curious, how did you prep for your first meeting with him in January 2025? And what did you say to him that made him go, aha?
Let's see, what happened? I happened to be in Florida to receive the Edison Award. And he heard that I happened to be in Florida, invited me over for dinner. And
At Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, that's literally how it happened. He just happened to hear that I was in town. He says, drop by for dinner. And so I did. Lori and I dropped by for dinner. He was incredibly engaging, incredibly charismatic, conversational, asked a lot of questions. From the moment that I met him, the only thing that he's ever talked to me about is creating more jobs, reindustrializing the United States, protecting national security, winning. He wants America to be wealthy. He knows that if America is wealthy, we have a lot of tax revenues. We could fund the military. We can fund our economy. We can fund our communities, create more jobs. Literally, that entire conversation I just went through is just every single time is some version of that. And he's, as far as I could tell, all he does is work. He calls me in the middle of the night and wants to talk about one of these topics.
And is it literally that he sees the country as dependent on Nvidia's success?
No,
what did you say to that
no,
makes him go?
No, he wants all American companies to succeed, and he's helped a whole lot of companies. And he was delighted that we invested in Intel. He's delighted that we're investing in Coherent. He's incredibly happy that we are manufacturing in the United States. We're going to spend about $500 billion building in America. The chip plant in TSMC's chip plant in Arizona, Wistron, Foxconn. I mean, the number of companies that we've inspired from Taiwan to partner with us to build factories here. He's incredibly happy about that. And he knows that none of that is possible if the companies aren't growing. And so the thing that he understands very clearly is when a company is successful, when a market is successful, when the industry is successful, you could use that momentum to fund the reindustrialization, create more jobs here in the United States. And he sees that opportunity very clearly. The thing that is completely transformational in my conversations with him, recognizing early on two things. One, he is obsessed about making sure that we reindustrialize the United States. It brings back manufacturing jobs. We want makers and builders here in America again, not just information workers, but he wants builders and makers. His views on energy is spot on. We can't grow a new economy. We can't grow our industry without energy. It fundamentally takes energy to grow. And he understands that we've been woefully behind. And so he's impatient about making sure we have more energy so that we could create all these plants and all these jobs. And so I think he was so clear and so determined on those topics, on those areas, and it connects with the work that I do here at Nvidia and the work that we do with Coherent, and really clearly. And so we've been able to fully align on those agendas.
Now, there is also a delicate aspect of that relationship. You probably saw what Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts said. She wanted you to testify before her committee, and then said you can go to Mar-a-Lago, but not before my committee. And I'm curious, does the fact that Trump likes you create any risks with Democrats who might have the majority in the House and Senate in 2027? How do you balance that?
Very simply, President Trump is our president. He's my president. And I believe that every Americans should want our president to succeed. We could differ with politics, but we should want him to succeed, because when President Trump succeeds, our country succeeds. Whoever's the next president, whatever their political party, I will want that president to succeed. And so I want Senator Warren to succeed. I want all of our senators to succeed. I want the United States to succeed. And so if I could be helpful in any way to help President Trump help realize his agenda so that our country could succeed, I'm all for it.
I'm curious for how you think about the opportunity in China. China has boxed out a lot of foreign competitors. What gives you confidence that China would be willing to accept a US-made AI ecosystem?
Well, we were in China for 30 years. And before the export control banned Nvidia out of China, we had about 95% market share. And so we were competing just fine. American technology companies are incredible. I travel the world, and I can tell you that we, as Americans, we can be very proud of the technology companies that I'm part of. The capabilities of this country are extraordinary, and we have every reason to be proud. We have every reason to be confident. We've been competing in China for a long time. We were doing just fine. There's only now, of course, whatever the decisions were that banned us from shipping to China, that decision is made, and so be it. However, President Trump would like us to take our last generation products and continue to compete around the world. And the reason for that is this. It is a false choice to have, we can have national security, that is absolutely foremost. We want our technology industry to succeed around the world. And in order to do that, you have to compete. You could have national security, you have technology leadership, and you could have economic prosperity all at the same time. Our country has been doing that for a long time. And so it is important that we recognize that China is a very large market. And if we cede that market, the competitors there will just become giants. And ultimately, that capability of theirs will scale outside of China that we'll have to deal with later. And so I think that the recognition that we have to have, number one, make sure that we have national security and that we protect our nation, but we also simultaneously should go and compete and grow our technology industry and maximize our exports. We're trying to maximize exports. We're trying to improve our trade imbalance. And so it makes sense that we continue to export, continue to compete around the world, and protect our national security, protect our technology leadership, and grow our economic prosperity. We could do all of that at the same time.
Now, one of the things we've also seen since the start of the year is the U.S. is getting more goods imports from Taiwan than it is directly from China. That's a change that you've helped spark. What role does that mean Taiwan has in relations with the U.S. going forward? Is that stitching even tighter now?
Well, Taiwan is the epicenter of the world's technology ecosystem. Taiwan makes the world's best chips. They make the most of it. The ecosystem around them, including all of the necessary parts of the supply chain, is all fully integrated on the island. It is the case that Taiwan also is an incredible strategic partner for the United States. If not for Taiwan's company and Taiwan's support to stand up manufacturing here in the United States, we wouldn't have all the fabs in Arizona, we wouldn't have the factories from Foxconn, we wouldn't have the fabs or the factories from Wistron. All of those factories and plants are necessary. They're bringing their skills, they're bringing their labor, they're bringing their experts to help us stand up manufacturing here in the United States. So they're on the one hand an epicenter and a critical part of our supply chain. On the other hand, they're also a strategic partner to help us diversify and create more resilience of our supply chain. And so Taiwan plays both parts in that. Really important partner.
And do you see that as intensifying even more as this gets built out?
Well, surely the onshore manufacturing is intensifying. Just the number of fabs that are being created here in the last couple, 2-3 years, I think we've created some 600,000 jobs in AI. And most of those jobs are, of course, in manufacturing and plants, and they're electricians and construction workers and designers and technicians and so on and so forth. And I think that that's going to continue to intensify over the next decade. Because I think we are seeing the renaissance of manufacturing here in the United States, and it's going to be renaissance in manufacturing of some of the highest end labor jobs. And so I'm quite excited about that.
It does seem, when I look at your history, that not everyone has your same appetite for risk. And I'm curious about that because so many people coming in this moment, right? And you know this because you get asked about it constantly. But like my Uber driver said, like, I think I should just have gone back and farmed. What would you say to people who are really concerned that might get a chance to kind of like, don't get a chance to engage with you, and yet are truly worried because they see risks and don't have an appetite for them?
I think the first thing I would do is I would engage AI. I would just open up ChatGPT.
Yeah,
The first thing I would do, I would open up ChatGPT and go learn about what it is that this technology can do for them. However, with respect to the Uber driver, I just think it's incredible. That example is perfect. The Uber driver's job, Uber, was created out of the last industrial revolution, mobile cloud, the internet. The technologies that were created in the last 20, 30 years enabled Uber to exist. Without the internet, mobile, all of the data centers that were created to deal with all the automatic routing and all the recommendation systems, it's incredibly complicated computer science behind Uber. None of that would have been possible if, right? That Uber driver wouldn't be possible without all of that. And so what I would tell that Uber driver is just take a moment and observe your current condition and the opportunities that it's created. Well, this next one's just going to create new opportunity. You're not exactly sure what it is yet, but it's going to be new opportunities. And so I think that I have the benefit of watching, I'm not young, and I'm the longest running tech CEO in the world. I've been doing my job for a long time. I've been in technology since I was 20 years old. And so I have the benefit of watching our industry grow and society grow and jobs changing over the years and technology tools that are created and new industries created, a whole bunch of startups created. I have the benefit of watching all of this happening in slow motion. I think we're going to see the same thing. I mean, I think that every single time that there was a new technology, when the personal computer came out, when the internet came out, when the iPhone came out, every single time these things happen, we all worry that it's going to leave us behind, but somehow it doesn't. It does change. And why wouldn't we want change? We should embrace change. I like society today better than the society you and I were just talking about in the movie that we were just both of us enjoying just a moment ago.
Kingdom of Heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven, my favorite movie, and I like society today over that one. And so,
lastly, what do people get wrong about you? Right? They see you out. They know a lot about your eating habits, your fashion sense. What do they get wrong about you?
What do they get wrong about me? I am deeply boring. That's really what. I worry about my family. I care about my family. I worry about my job. I care about my company, and then I cycle between those two things. I'm doing one of those two things at all times. If I have the benefit of spending time with my family to watch Kingdom of Heaven, nothing gives me more joy. And recently I think we've watched it 3 or 4 times. Project Hail Mary. I think we might watch it again this weekend. And what an incredible movie. So optimistic, so inspiring. Nothing gives me more joy than hang out with my family, and that's all I do. Between those two things, that's all I do.
Awesome, Jensen. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.